Hi, everyone. Welcome to Cressley Mania. My name is Rhonda, and I have my special guest and special friend with me today, Amy Collette.
Hey, everybody.
I just love having her on the show with me, and I know all of you do too. Today, as promised, we are going to continue going through Priscilla's Presley's new book, Softly as I Leave You, and we're going to talk about the reasons of well, let me go back and restate this. We're going to talk about the differences between
Mhm.
her book, Lisa's book, and we're going to bring in another book. So we're talking about the Michael Edwards situation. And as we get into this, some of you may have forgotten who he was, but he was Priscilla's boyfriend for many years. I think it was almost 7, right?
Yeah, it was 78 to 83, 84,
Something like that. But
something like that.
he was part of Lisa's formative years,
Yeah,
and it was not a good situation. But there are so many different versions of the truth floating out there. So we're going to present to you 3 different versions of it, and you can decide for yourself what you think is true or not.
okay.
I will make one point though, and say this: that as a rule, the victim is usually always the one who is believed.
Correct. Yes.
In this case, that is not. In this
Not
case,
so
I
much.
believe the victim, right, but
Mhm.
I'm not so sure about the other 2 accounts. Well, one of them actually kind of goes hand in hand with the victim, but
Yeah, one of them is like cooperating evidence. And yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So, anyhow, so we're going to dig right into this. So, we're going to start with Priscilla's account, and I know that several of you have read this book, but for those of you who haven't, we're going to read a little bit out of each book and what's going on so you get the complete context, and then we're going to talk about it. Okay? All right, so we're talking about Lisa Marie, Priscilla Presley, and Michael Edwards. Here we go. This is Priscilla talking about Michael. All right. When Lisa was 14 years old, let me pick this up. When Lisa was 14 years old, the world as I knew it fell apart. I had just come home from a business trip when Lisa came to me and said that Michael had come into her room the night before while he thought she was asleep. Then he pulled back the covers to look at her in her nightgown. He was drunk, and it had made her feel very uncomfortable. I asked her if he had done it before, and she said no. It was a one time thing. I questioned her closely. I asked her if he had touched her in any way. She said no, he hadn't touched her that night. He had never touched her inappropriately. My mind was racing. I began to remember the times I'd been away from home for work. What if something had happened in one of my absences? Michelle was usually there, but still, had she been there every time? Was Lisa telling me the whole extent of it? When I confronted Michael, he was quick with an explanation. He said he had just checked on Lisa and then pulled up the covers to tuck her in. It was plausible, and I wanted to believe him. I also knew that Lisa sometimes made up stories to get attention, but this felt different. Lisa had made Lisa had sensed that something was wrong, and I believed her. We had a family discussion about it, and there was a temporary truce, but I remained conflicted. A family discussion. I find that weird.
I find that very weird. Yeah.
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 I kept a close eye on things while I was figuring out what I should do. I finally decided that I couldn't risk having Michael in the house with my daughter. I told Lisa that I was going to ask him to move out, that I no longer felt I could trust him. She began crying hysterically. No, Mom, no, Mom, nothing happened, please. I replied, Lisa, something did happen. He went into your room and pulled back the covers to look at you. No, Mom, please. Lisa was distraught that I was making him leave. She begged me not to do it. She even wrote me a letter supporting Michael while I was away on business, and Michelle was staying with her. I still have it. Well, then why didn't you include it in this book?
Right. Why don't we bring receipts then?
Hmm.
Because if I don't see receipts, then it didn't happen. I'm sorry.
Exactly. She told me, "You mustn't forget Michael Edwards. You're forever to be. I know you love him. Maybe not all the time, but deep inside, when you say you hate him, you really love him, just like you really love me." And then she reassured me that I didn't need to worry because everything was fine at home. I was so confused. Lisa told me that Michael had looked at her in a way that made her uncomfortable, but she was adamant that nothing else had happened. I didn't know what to do. But thank God, I did understand that something was very wrong with his feelings for Lisa. I could not take the risk that something had or would happen to my daughter. It was difficult to get him to move out. Let's see, do we keep going?
Yeah, yeah, because I think we need to
Okay. He
get
continued
started.
to deny
Yeah.
Lisa's account. I had been with him for almost 6 years by then, and I had my own feelings for him. Our lives were intertwined. It took some time and a profound internal struggle on my part before he left. Throughout the ordeal, I had a guilty fear that I was being unfair, that I was doing the wrong thing, but I couldn't take the risk of letting him stay. I had to protect my child at all costs, and if I was making a mistake, so be it. 4 years after he moved on, Michael wrote a tell all book about me. Okay, let's stop
Hmm.
there.
He
She
sure
says
did.
it. She says it was kind and often fictitious, but we're going to stop there because we're going to actually read Michael's words here in a little bit.
Yes.
All right, Amy, what would you like to say about all this?
There's a lot. So, first of all, Lisa was 10 the first time she came to Priscilla and
Mhm.
told her. So, she's portraying like she was told at the end of the relationship, then she puts him out, and he's immediately put out. But we know from Lisa's book and from Mike Edwards' book, that's not the case at all.
Right.
And there were other red flags that had happened in that relationship before it ever got to this point that he should have been gone. So you can say, yeah, when you love somebody, but that's not the father of your child. You're not the typical single mom who needs money or needs to live with someone to survive. She was keeping him up by most accounts. He moved in with her, was using her money. She was
Yeah.
paying for everything.
Yeah.
So just this is just all a no for me. That's no, no.
Well, let's talk about one of those red flags
Yes, please do.
because they were at a party. Priscilla and Michael and Lisa was there with them, and he ended up getting drunk.
Hmm.
And he excused himself and went upstairs, she thought, to go to the bathroom, to go to the restroom. And he came down the stairs completely unclothed,
Hmm.
completely unclothed.
Completely.
I
Yeah.
mean, just coming down them. And um, everyone was staring at him. Everybody saw it. She says in her book that Lisa was pulling at my arm saying, "Make him stop, mommy, make him
Make
stop,
him
make him
stop. Yeah.
stop." You know, I'm sorry. I think that is a huge red flag. I mean, I would have been like, you just exposed yourself not only to everybody here at the party, but also to my daughter.
Exactly.
See ya. See ya.
Bye. Bye. Yeah. Exactly. It makes no
No, no, it doesn't. So, did she say he was covering up with a napkin?
with a napkin. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm guessing this
unbelievable.
is about the same timeline, and I think he discusses this in his book as well. And it's kind of the end of their relationship. So she is on the correct timeline with this part, just not when the abuse started. So,
Right.
which I mean, yeah, you can give a pass because you're older and you're looking back at life, and everybody sees things happen in a different timeline. But there's just too much here that I cannot chalk off to forgetting how it happened or being confused and time going by because it's painted very she never has responsibility, right?
Mhm.
Like Lisa told me she liked him, and Lisa told me she might have had a schoolgirl crush on him. I don't care. You're the mother. That's your child. You would unalive someone to protect them.
Yeah.
She just never has any responsibility in anything.
No, and I'm going to be completely honest here. I think Michael Edwards may be one of the most handsome men, besides, with the
Oh,
exception of Elvis, of
hmm,
course,
yeah.
um, that she ever dated. And
Oh,
so I could see where Lisa might have had a crush on him.
yeah. Hmm.
But this isn't the only one that Priscilla says Lisa had a crush on.
Right.
She says she always had a crush on her boyfriends. Well, I don't believe that. And
Which
I do not think Lisa would have had a crush on Michael Edwards after the things that happened to her transpired.
even if you take out the sexual abuse, like him cutting her record player cord, him throwing the chair at her, him screaming at her from the dinner table. I mean, even if you take this out, there
Mhm.
are things that happen that that man should not have been in that house, let alone her primary caretaker.
Right. Well, Lisa describes in her book how the relationship between Michael and Priscilla was so volatile.
Mm-hmm.
They were constantly just yelling and screaming at her. It was not a good place to have a child in the middle of.
She calls it destabilizing. It was very destabilizing after she's already been destabilized by losing her father.
Mm-hmm.
So, but let's blame Lisa for being difficult.
I find it really hard to swallow
Mm-hmm.
that it seems like it always, in every instance, is Lisa's fault.
Yeah.
In the interviews that Priscilla has done, where she has been asked about this particular instance, it's like, well, it was, when I read her book, I was like, oh, but that's not that's not what she said to me. And I thought she loved him, and everything was fine. I mean, it's just like, quit covering it up.
Mm-hmm.
Is this just a rebuttal to everything that's been said bad about you?
And even the way she says in her book on page 90, when Michael Edwards calls her, they must have had a conversation about his book. And he said he called her to say he wished he had never written it. And she says, I don't think he regretted his behavior, but he regretted admitting it. Um, and then she said, there are some things you can't unknow. And if he wanted my forgiveness, he didn't ask for it and wouldn't have gotten it. So my point is this woman has sued everyone out of the gate, starting with Linda Thompson's parents for not paying rent in 1979, Marty Lacker, Joe Esposito. I mean, we could go on and on.
Mhm.
So why, therefore, when she,
Elvis.
Elvis, when she, yeah, starting first and foremost. So when he admits this and she sees it in writing, first of all, that's very publicly embarrassing for your child, right?
Yes.
Why was nothing done to him then? Why did she not do anything to him then?
What do you think is possible that he has dirt on her and she's afraid he would let
I
it
mean, why
out?
would you allow? I mean, this is like a disgusting, like, these are all the, like, where he talks about wanting Lisa sexually. That's 3 marks too many.
Mine
Um,
too. I've got 3 marks too.
so I don't understand. She's just cavalier about, she does everything else to control her public image, right? So
Mhm.
why was this allowed to happen with no repercussions? And like, yes, I understand, anybody can write a book and that's fine, but this boy who took pictures of Lisa and released them to the press, she had him set up for a drug deal gone bad and had an anal search done on him just
Yeah,
for
let's talk about that guy.
we're in the press. So this man talks about wanting to sleep with your daughter, and you're just like, meh.
And not only that, you're trying to further your career, as Lisa states in her book. She says, at
Mhm.
this time, my mom was really into her career.
All over the place. Yeah.
Yes, so I was left with him alone.
Hmm.
Left alone. Let that sink in, uncomfortable with this man, yet Priscilla knew about it.
Yeah.
And she said it had gotten to where she was more used to being with Michael Edwards than she was with being with her own mother.
Her mother.
And
Yes.
she had just lost her dad.
Her dad.
Make that make sense.
Right. It doesn't make sense. She
No.
could have afforded to hire help, clearly, and did have help. But I think the one couple that Lisa really liked quit because of him, because of his drinking. They all admit to have, well, Priscilla doesn't, but Edwards and Lisa says there was tons of cocaine around the house. Why would you have that around after Elvis's issues and you're so worried about how your daughter's going to grow up and protecting your daughter? Why would that be the first long-term relationship you introduce her to? Is that
Exactly. Yeah. Why would you even have drugs around a child, period?
right?
I mean, that in itself is bad parenting. Children
And
should be exposed to that.
right. And just to play the devil's advocate, let's just say she was so traumatized by everything that had happened, Lisa losing her father, and she picked a bad relationship. I don't see that type of regret in here. Also, she has been asked several times if she had any regrets recently, and she has said, I have lived a wonderful life. I have no regrets. I don't know what parent doesn't have regrets.
Yeah. Yeah, we all do. There are all things we wish we could go back and do
And
differently,
change.
or but especially in this instance. I mean,
Yes.
this Riley even says in the book of, Lisa's book, she says that I realized this affected my mom, but she doesn't, she said, I don't know that we really realize
They
how
didn't.
deeply it affected her.
Absolutely it did. Yeah. And I don't think anybody did. But
Yeah.
if you've gone through it, and there's one part in Lisa's book I wish I had marked it, but Riley's talking about watching her do her lips and how pretty her mom was.
Yes.
And she said, my mom did not feel lovable, did not feel beautiful. And I've spent my whole life trying to work out the answer.
Bingo. Yeah. Between that book and between
And
Michael
yeah,
Edwards, that's a big part of it. Do we need to go over some of the things that Michael Edwards said so we
yeah,
can?
yeah, and then we'll cover the truth last, Lisa's version. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm going to
you have
let you.
170, do you have 176 marked, page 176?
I have
I think
170.
that, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I have it. I have it
Okay, 'cause
marked.
I think that's kind of the start of it.
Hmm.
So I'll start there, and then maybe we can just kind of discuss. And I'm
Okay.
going to skip over just the things that aren't relevant. But on 176 of Priscilla, Elvis, and Me, he's talking about how Lisa's interested in photography, and he had taken pictures of Priscilla. And he says, I dressed her up in one of her mother's vintage satin gowns, leaving the neck unbuttoned and letting the dress fall loosely about her shoulders, which is creepy as it is.
That's
Pushing
gross.
Pushing back her hair, I placed a big brimmed 1920s hat on her. She looked adorable. I don't know what to do, Mickley, which is what she called him, she said. I snapped off a rose and handed it to her. You don't have to do anything, just play with the flower. So he's talking about how pretty she is through the lens, and he hears the click of the gate. Priscilla's coming home. So he says, we better stop now. Let's go meet your mother. Priscilla met us as we came back into the house. What's going on? She asked. I was taking some pictures of Lisa, I explained. Did you put that makeup on her? Yes, just a little bit to blend her complexion. Lisa, you better go to your room to do your homework. As soon as Lisa left, Priscilla's jaw tightened and her eyes turned that ice blue color that told me she was livid. Did you have fun with my daughter, Michael? She's lonesome, Priscilla. She doesn't have any friends to play with besides me. She's 13 years old, and she should be over at a girlfriend's house after school, not hanging around here by herself in this big empty house. Aren't you a little old for her? She said. So that right then would have been it. You would have been out of my house.
Exactly.
Done.
Well, and he even says, he goes on to say, up until that moment, that he had accepted his feelings for Lisa as perhaps slightly more than normal affection. But after the scene with Priscilla, he felt like he had been caught red handed.
Mm-hmm.
So he's feeling the guilt.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
he definitely had feelings for her. And I'm going to go a step further with this, and we haven't even discussed this part of it. But he talks about Elvis and brings Elvis up a lot in this book.
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like he had a man crush on him.
Oh, absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, talking about how Lisa was just a replica of Elvis. Her
Mm-hmm.
eyes were a replica of Elvis. You know,
Mouth. Yeah.
yeah, how he would stare at the pictures that were around. Because Priscilla obviously still had pictures up of
Of
Elvis
Elvis.
and Lisa, which trying to make sense of that. But I guess for Lisa,
Release.
maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. Um, but I find that weird. I find that really weird, and that he was always interested in Elvis's things. That the way he talks in his book, and this is a whole nother point that I'm going to bring up.
Yeah.
And we'll have to do another show about this point of it.
Mm-hmm.
That Elvis's things were like all
Everywhere.
over Priscilla's house.
Right.
What Elvis thinks
And why?
and why. Let that sink in. Think
Like,
about it.
like you said, I can see the pictures for Lisa or mementos for Lisa, but
Right.
he talked about like a trunk in her closet that's Elvis jewelry. So did she get jewelry in the divorce settlement? I don't think she did.
It says nothing about it in the divorce settlement, other
So
than, the things he had given her is
he's
one
given
thing,
her
but
divorce. But
yeah.
why would she have his jewelry?
And how did she get it?
And how did she get it?
And why
And
is it not part of the Graceland archives and stuff? I mean, he doesn't say Lisa has the stuff. He said
or she was
Priscilla.
keeping it for Lisa when Lisa got older, or yeah, it was her.
Nothing like that. It was Priscilla's, and it belonged to Elvis. And so that's that gives me reason for pause.
And then he talks about calling her when she goes back to Memphis to start opening the estate, I think,
Hmm.
after Morgan Maxwell dies. And she's telling him she's up in Elvis's room getting some things and some pajamas and like a cane, I think, or something. And
Hmm.
that was not yours. That's
Yeah,
not yours.
why are you taking his pajamas?
That's your daughter's. So I highly doubt we've not seen anything from archives that was at Lisa's that's been introduced to an Elvis collection. Um, and everybody did it to Lisa. Those were not everybody's things to take. I
Hmm.
mean, she says everybody was grabbing things
Excuse
before
me.
the bless you before the hospital was called.
Oh my goodness. So sorry, everybody.
Bless you. But yeah, she's talking about artifacts being taken before they ever get word back from the hospital. And she says, everybody, those attention, everybody, those were not your things to take.
Right, right.
So if everybody's still out there that has some things, maybe return them to Lisa's children. That would be wonderful. Because those
Well,
are not your things.
I guess at this point, Vernon was, I don't know if he was still around when she went back to Graceland this at one time and she was
No,
taking
I
it.
don't. I think Vernon had already passed, and she was
Yeah.
getting things together.
So everything was locked up. So she would have been the one who had the
Yeah,
password or the key or whatever it was that.
there was no archives then, or yeah, there was none of that shit
So
about
it was almost like it was just all there.
the
And
prequel.
I hate to say that she stole it. I'm not, I guess I'm just questioning how she came about getting
Yeah,
it,
but she
you
took
know,
it. She took it.
because it
If Elvis,
wasn't.
if Elvis didn't give it to her in the divorce, and she didn't have it when she left Graceland and she moved out, and it was not willed to her,
Mhm.
she took it.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be like my ex-husband if he passes away and I just go take his things. Why would I do that? That makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
But everybody just goes, "Oh, it's Priscilla." Well, it doesn't matter. they weren't her things.
No. And it had been several years since they had been married. And yeah, she may be the mother of Lisa, but that doesn't give her the right to have them.
Mhm.
Now, if she had taken them and then brought them in and put it together in a keepsake box for Lisa, that kind of thing, I think
Right.
it would have been noted in the book, that she did this for Lisa. But no, it leaves the gate wide open for
Mm-hmm.
speculation.
Lots of things.
Yeah.
And she even gives him a necklace that was Elvis's, um, an onyx coin pendant, and I think a cane. She gives him some stuff from the Palm Springs house when she goes. Those were Lisa's things. I think she gives him a globe as well.
Yeah. She gave his mom a ring that I think Elvis had given her.
Which, I mean, that's
I mean,
fine.
that was hers to give away, but still,
Wouldn't you keep that for your daughter and be like, here, your father gave me this ring?
that's what I've done. I mean,
Right.
I have a child by a previous marriage, and the items that he gave me, um, I have saved for her.
Yeah.
They're
I mean, I
hers.
still have my
Pretty
wedding
cool.
ring. I still have my original wedding ring. And if my daughter wants it one day, then
Yeah,
that's hers.
it's all hers. I mean, and then she can decide what to do
Right.
with it.
Right.
But it just doesn't make sense to me. And Michael even goes on, and the pool incident. Do you have that one marked on page 218? That one's
Yeah, I got two. Well, I've got 217 where he talks about her getting up from the dinner table and brushing against his leg.
mhm. And then in the pool.
And then in the pool,
Uh-huh.
uh, where she's throwing her arms around him innocently, and then he finds himself getting turned on by that.
Which is gross.
Gross.
And
Yeah, then you go with this one. Yeah, and this is what he says about the incident, for the incident.
oh yeah, this is exactly where he says it.
Yeah,
Who wants to do this part?
you can do this part.
Oh great, give me the gross part.
Or I'll do the. You want me to do the gross part? I'll do the gross part.
It doesn't matter.
I'll
I'm
do
gonna let you do it. I'm gonna let you do it.
So just for reference, we're on page 218 still of Mike Edwards' book. One night long after Priscilla and I had returned home after having a horrendous argument over my drinking and her getting roses from Julio Iglesias, she went into her bathroom. She went into her bathroom and I went into Lisa's room. I wanted someone to talk to. Okay. So you're dating her mother. She's 12, 13 years old. You're drunk. Her mother, you have an argument with her mother and you want to go talk to her, a child.
Like, what is she gonna do? It's
Right.
the reason, and the reasoning is because of how he felt about her.
Right. I wanted someone to talk to, but Lisa was asleep. I lifted a corner of the covers and gazed at her. She was lying on her back, and her honey-colored hair was spread out over the pillow. She was my beloved, and I couldn't even tell her.
This man has a mental problem.
He has a problem.
And if Priscilla didn't see it at the party,
Mm-hmm.
when
Or
he
when
comes prancing down the stairs with a napkin,
yeah,
I mean,
naked.
there is something definitely wrong with her perception of what makes a good mate.
So here's his take on the family meeting. He wakes up the next morning and Priscilla and Lisa are sitting at the end of the bed. And he says, "What's going on?" And Priscilla says, "Why did you go into Lisa's room last night?" He says, "I wanted to talk to her." "What about?" "You and I had argued so much, I needed someone to talk to." And then Priscilla looks at Lisa and says, "Do you have any questions?" And Lisa said, "Yeah, why did you lift up the sheets?" I wanted to pour my heart out to Lisa and beg Priscilla to understand I cared so much for Lisa. The feelings I had for her, I knew I would never have for another. Everything about her was exactly what I wanted in a woman.
And she's a child.
Mm-hmm.
She's a child.
So then he goes on to say, Lisa says it scared her. Then he says it won't happen again. He says everything seemed okay after that. But then Priscilla does say she didn't want them to be alone in the house. And she asked him to explain what there was between Lisa and me. I wanted to tell her I was in love with Lisa. But how do you tell the woman you're in love with that you're also in love with her daughter? So then they did a separation briefly. So giving themselves some space, etc. But it's not long. It's not long
No,
at all. Not long.
no. And he says that it was mutual consent.
Correct.
Yeah,
Nobody's crying, saying, please stay, don't
right.
go.
That it was mutual between him and Priscilla.
Correct.
Where
So,
doesn't she state somewhere that she told him to get out?
yeah. And they had been having problems. They had both cheated on
Yeah.
each other and all this other stuff.
Their relationship
It
was
was
a
crazy.
train wreck.
So some time goes by. He does move out, but he's there. Like they're still doing acting classes together. She was going to Bangkok to work on a movie, I think. And they went to so they went to see a movie together, and she sits on his lap in the movie theater. So this is not someone who's disgusted about what they did with their child. And then they reunite and sleep together again. And I think he goes to help her on the movie set. I'm just kind of skimming because a lot of this is just not pertinent to what we're talking about.
But it is making points that they were still together.
Yeah, they were. This was not like a clean break. You get out. So then they kind of go back and forth. But then on chapter 32, back in LA, I took Lisa and her boyfriend to the movies. So now he's chaperoning dates with Lisa and her boyfriend. So he's talking about all these, them being together, and he's back in with Priscilla. I think Priscilla is just starting to have talks maybe about doing Dallas or something. But they're doing his birthday dinner. And this birthday dinner is the birthday where he comes out with the napkin on his private. So this was the end of their relationship. But yeah, that was not get out, stay out. You've creeped my child out, and you're never going to be here again. The relationship goes on for a bit longer.
Yeah. Do we want to get into Lisa's, or do we want to talk about the boyfriend, the 20-year-old boyfriend?
Yeah, let's briefly touch on him. Do you have that marked? Because I don't know if I have that part marked.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's page 250. You can, if you want to do that one.
Yes, let me find it. I've got it here. Let me find it. He says that Lisa's new flame was an older boy in his 20s, and they had recently started dating. He was so charming and polite, he had Priscilla wrapped around his little finger. He was extremely affectionate, and Priscilla returned his hugs with equal warmth and exuberance.
Sure
I
did.
was envious seeing the three of them becoming so chummy, but I still liked him. His cocky personality reminded me so much of my own when I first met Priscilla 5 years earlier. I thought he wanted the mother as well as the daughter. He was constantly hugging and cuddling them both and baby talking with them. Priscilla enjoyed his attention thoroughly, and when I told her I thought she was being too friendly, she dismissed the notion. Don't be so serious, Michael, she said. He's Lisa's boyfriend. Then he goes on to say he asked Lisa if she felt bothered by how friendly he and her mother were becoming. And he asked her, does it upset you? And Lisa wouldn't answer him and just turned her head away.
Yeah.
So, the reason that we bring this up is because Priscilla states in her book that that Lisa was always jealous of her boyfriends.
Mm-hmm.
That she was always flirting with her boyfriends. To the extent that Priscilla, and it's almost like
narcissistic, like here we are,
Very.
like, yeah, I'm going
Yeah,
to say that she's the one who's flirting, but obviously,
it was
from
her.
this account, it was her that was flirting. Then Priscilla says in her book, and I'm paraphrasing here, that she did not like the boy.
Right. She didn't like
Yeah.
him.
And that she
She
felt
didn't.
like that, yeah, he was bad. And Lisa talks about it in her book as well. So
Hmm.
this must have been a big deal. For it to have been mentioned in 3 different books, this
Right.
wasn't just some casual guy that Lisa was dating.
Right.
It was somebody she was really interested in.
Hmm.
And the fact that the dynamics are showing that maybe Priscilla was interested in him as well, Michael Edwards sensed it. He's saying Lisa sensed it.
Right.
Then what's the deal here?
And in Edward's book and Lisa's book, Priscilla was very upset when that relationship ended.
Hmm.
I mean, Edwards says she basically just has a breakdown and starts crying, which is kind of weird. When this kid betrays Lisa when he was a man, um, Priscilla, like we discussed earlier, really went hard for him,
Hmm.
but where's that same energy with this guy who's done some weird stuff to your child? Don't understand it. Also, I know Edwards came out when Lisa's book came out and said that didn't happen. The editor had me put in a few things. That this is a lot more than a few things. He details throughout the book his growing feelings for her. So
Yeah,
this
he
is
was in
not just
love
a
with her.
little salacious tidbit. I'm pretty sure you can get this mess on thrift books for like $4. Go ahead and get it because he's a liar. There's way more than just a few things. And why would an editor say, "Hey, cool story. Why don't you make up that you molested Elvis's daughter? That would be amazing for you." I mean, you're trying to be an actor. Yeah, that's a great career move.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
dumbest thing I've ever heard.
what if it wasn't true? Then Lisa wouldn't have brought it up in her book.
And what man is going to make himself look this psychotic on for what? Like he's literally crazy.
Right.
He,
Exactly.
no one puts this kind of stuff in there. You've got enough of a story dating Elvis's ex-wife to sell a book, especially at that time. That was like at the peak of
Very
everybody
true.
writing a book. You did not need to make this up.
No, and I don't believe he did.
You didn't.
And the fact that Lisa comments on it, and it's more than just a comment.
More than just a comment. Yeah.
She goes into detail about it. But Lisa's take is also kind of shows her heart to me. Um,
It does.
most people who really don't know that much about Lisa maybe see more of like someone who is more a little bit of a recluse, not real friendly or whatever. I know we know differently.
Little rough
That
and tough. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, a little rough on the edges, whatever. But this girl inherited her daddy's heart,
Yes.
and she truly
Absolutely.
cared about people. And it's quite obvious that here, even talking about a man who was so horrific to her, she still had consideration for him.
And that's so much like Elvis.
Hmm. Hmm.
So much
Elvis
like
would get mad and he would fire you on the spot. And, let's take the Hamburger James thing,
Mhm.
flagging down on the plate
I love that story. Yeah.
credentials, and let him have it. And then, basically give him the shirt off his back,
And ends up crying and saying, "Why didn't you tell me you needed money? Like you didn't have to steal from me." Yeah, and hugging
Right,
him. Yeah.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Lisa's point of view.
Okay.
I'm starting on page 83, and we're just gonna kind of skim through. She says, my mom had been dating a guy named Michael Edwards. They dated for about 6 years in all. Edwards was an actor and model, a dramatic guy with a horrible temper. He was often on drugs, too. He and my mom would fight constantly, and it was physical. I'd hear her screaming. Okay, let's comment on the drugs thing.
Part of the reason she says that she left Elvis was not only to find herself, but she couldn't handle the drugs because he was old.
Right.
So she's going to go and she's going to hook up with somebody who is doing street drugs, cocaine, things that are harder
Mhm.
for no reason other than he liked to party
Mhm.
and the way it made him feel, not for any kind of medical issue.
Correct. And,
You
and
know,
she's using cocaine with him as well at one point, according
exactly,
to him. Yeah.
exactly. And so she talks about them getting into an argument at dinner, and he was yelling and screaming at her because she was playing her music too loud. And
Your rock and roll
then,
music. Yeah.
yeah, and that then there was one time her mom actually cooked, and Priscilla, because Priscilla says she does not cook, so she actually cooked, and the chicken wasn't done, and she made some comment, and Edwards jumped all over her because he felt like she was being disrespectful. Well, who wants to
Hmm.
eat raw chicken? My mother would have said, "Oh my gosh, let me see that, and I'll go
I'll
stick it
fix
in the
it.
oven. We're going to fix it." Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but now we get to the bad part. She says the first time Edwards came into my room in the middle of the night, drunk, kneeling, was years before, I think. I was 10. Whoa. See the difference?
Yeah.
Priscilla says 14,
Hmm.
14, 10. I woke up to find him on his knees next to my bed, running his finger up my leg under the sheets, and if I moved, he stopped, so I moved. I was awake, but I was trying to be asleep. Um, I'm not going to talk about this part. I don't want to get banned from YouTube because
Yeah.
it's pretty graphic. She said, I told my mom in the car the next day, and I watched her slam her foot down on the gas. At home, I ran to my room, and she flew into her room and slammed the door. Eventually, she called me in and said that Edwards wanted to apologize. Edwards was sitting on their bed, looking very sullen and sulky. He said, I'm so sorry, but, he makes some excuse that that's what they do in Europe. And she said, I didn't know what to say. She said, I would always feel bad for him, even when he apologized. Well, then Priscilla acted like that it stopped there, but it didn't.
I did it.
It, it continued and it got worse.
He
And
just had
there,
like a different MO too. Like he would spank her in
yeah,
a weird way, not in a disciplinary way, but in a weird way.
right.
Yeah.
And this went on for years. And
Mhm.
she showed her mom and she talked to her mom about it, according to Lisa. And Priscilla's reaction was, well, what did you do to deserve that?
Yeah.
I can guarantee you, my parents,
Hmm.
nobody would have lifted a hand against me.
Yeah.
Nobody. And that guy would have been out of my house so fast
Mhm.
long before she told him to hit the road.
I mean, she actually said my butt was black, blue, orange, and green.
Yes.
And then every time it's repetitive, he would say, oh, I was drunk, or she was flirting with me. And then she would make him come and apologize, and I would feel bad and forgive him. I was 11, 12, 13.
So how many times did he apologize? At what point
Mm-hmm.
do you realize that she's not making this stuff up?
Right, right.
You know? And she said, I was 11, 12, 13.
13.
She said it started at 10.
Yeah.
So that's 4 years,
Yeah.
right?
And then this is when
Or
she says,
3 years.
my mom was trying to be a model and an actress, and she was doing commercials. So she left town quite a bit. And as crazy as this sounds, Edwards was there more than my mother. I was used to having him around more than her. Every Christmas, my mom would give me amazing gifts, but he didn't have much money to do the same. And I would always cry on Christmas Day because I felt so bad for him. He would really be hard on himself, and he played the part of the pitiful victim.
Okay. And what was it that Priscilla said about Christmas?
Oh, that Lisa was jealous of the presents that Michael gave Priscilla and would
Mhm.
say, do you like mine just as much? Mommy, 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 like a very needy type of child.
Oh, yeah.
And by rights, she should have been needy. She didn't have her father anymore. She needed more attention. And Priscilla, if my child was doing that and I had a boyfriend, then I would think to myself, I'm not giving my child enough attention.
Mhm.
They're acting this way.
Right. Well,
And
it
with
says,
all the Scientology help that she had to be so aware, one would think she would know all these things. But,
and Edwards was a Scientologist as well,
yeah.
you know.
You can't tell me that Lisa wasn't going over this stuff in her auditing sessions. They had to know. They had to know what was going on.
Everybody had to have known.
Mhm.
They had to have.
They
I
just kept
mean,
it quiet because it was her.
Priscilla says, and just for reference, so you guys know we're not making this up, she says, um, did we read this earlier? I don't think so.
Of
I
the
said,
present? No, I don't think so.
I knew that Lisa and Michael had a complicated relationship. Lisa was always, here it comes, intensely jealous if there was a man in my life. Of course, she was very possessive of me. Since she had lost her father, I was all she had. She had been jealous of Michael in the beginning. At Christmas, Michael had bought me a present, and naturally, I thanked him and gushed over the present. Lisa immediately got upset. What about my present? You liked his better than the one I gave you? I had to reassure her, no, I love your gift. I think it's beautiful. Why would you think that? Then she says that if she held one of Michael's hands, that Lisa wanted to hold the other. If he and I sat close together, then Lisa wanted to sit between them. That she loved spending time with him. And she says it gradually dawned on me that she had developed a schoolgirl crush on him.
And maybe so in the beginning,
Maybe so in the beginning, because like we said,
um,
he was a very good looking man. I mean,
mhm.
for those of y'all who don't remember, wasn't he like the Marlboro man or something? He did
Yes. Yeah. He was the Marvel, like the original Marvel. He was a very nice looking man. Yeah.
very rugged, dark headed, very, very handsome, but he had some
He had
very
a lot of, he had a
issues.
lot of issues. Yeah. He
Yeah,
was something. Yeah.
yeah. So, anyhow, I wanted to bring that up to point
Yes.
out the differences there. Um, there's so much more. I mean, we have been on now for over
Oh, we could go
45
forever.
minutes, and we
And
could just keep going.
I don't think Lisa even talks about their breakup. Um,
But don't
in
you
her book.
have an article from Life? And weren't you going to also talk about the Howard Stern?
Yeah, there was, yes, thank
Yeah.
you. The Life magazine article they did in '88, they talk about Edwards being somebody that pitted them against each other, and he was like a dark cloud of bad energy when he left. And um, I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, it's completely different narrative of any of this. Like they were this united front, and they both wanted him gone, and not this mommy, don't make him leave, that type of thing.
And doesn't Priscilla say, though, in the article, something to the effect of that she felt guilty, still felt guilty about
She still
asking him
feels
to leave?
guilty putting him out. Yes, and I think she says that in here too, like something like I'm making the right choice or something. But she says that in the 1988 Life magazine article, I felt guilty making him leave.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Very good. Now, the Howard Stern, because we're
yeah.
going to end it with this, because everybody always comes back to this, and they use the excuse that when Lisa wrote her book, she was on drugs. When she was talking about this, she was on drugs. Well, let's make it perfectly clear that she was not at the time that she was
No,
writing this. She was
no,
not. She was clean
and
and
had been, yes.
and had been clean. So I tend to believe, like we said before, the victim.
Mhm.
Um, I believe Lisa in all of this. I even think Edwards corroborates her story.
Yeah,
Uh, so, and Priscilla, I don't know what she's saying. I don't understand the lying, because that's what it appears to be in this to me, is that
well,
it is this
yeah,
cover-up.
I saw a little clip where Tony Ortega was talking about her book. on an unrelated topic, Scientology stuff. And he said, people can say she's old and this and that, but does she not have editors? I mean, you have
Yeah.
legal, you have all these things
Yeah.
that go through in writing a book. You just don't get to sit down and put down whatever you think in it.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's checking that for
Mm-hmm.
you. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's not an excuse. So,
Right.
and I was like, yes, thank you. Someone said it, because it's not just, oh, well, just let her say what she wants to. There's people who check these things. You have, like you said, legal and editors and all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. Okay, I want you to end it with the Howard Stern thing.
So everybody brings up the famous Howard Stern interview where Lisa's asked about Mike Edwards, and the snippet that we always see where she's kind of like this, and she's like, and then
Kind
she
of
says he
drawn
did,
in.
mhm. And well, he didn't touch me. It didn't get that far. So what we need to remember, if you watch the whole clip, because context is important, Lisa's not the one that brings him up. The Howard Stern's little sidekick, I never remember his name. He's off to the side. He says, "Didn't your mom date this guy who wrote a book about wanting to have sex with you?" And she's like, "You guys know about that?" So if you watch that whole thing, she's taken completely off guard and is like, "I didn't know you guys read that book. I didn't know you knew about it." And so, of course, as a victim, as a survivor, you're one in a public forum. Your
Mm-hmm.
family is public. You have a family image to protect. You're getting sued by people constantly. She had to
Right.
really think that answer through. And not, because if she would have said yes on something like Howard Stern, it would have just snowballed into all these different questions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like Lisa offered up the information of, oh, yeah, no, he didn't touch me. It was like sprung on her. Um, and honestly, no one gets the right to say when a victim gets to tell their story. And if she didn't want to tell it on Howard Stern, that was her choice. So for everybody that's always in the comments bringing up Howard Stern, I invite you to go watch the whole video and what was said on there. And maybe put yourself, I would guess, because of the rate of abuse in women, most of these women in comments who are defending Priscilla, it's either happened to them too, or they know someone who it's happened to. And that is shameful what y'all are doing. I'm just going to say it. It's absolutely shameful, because it's her. It's Lisa's a liar. I can't wrap my head around this. I can't.
I can't either. I can't either. And it's a terrible subject. You know,
It is. It's awful. It's awful to
and
talk about.
I don't like talking about it. It's gross to me. But the only reason that we are speaking about it is the fact that the story is so different. And for all of you who want to defend Priscilla and say, oh, but she's old, or oh,
Hmm.
she might not have, she just didn't know. We want you to see the differences. We want you to be aware.
Yeah.
And because at some point, this fairy tale that she has been living of making herself look like the widow of Elvis, of being this
Hmm.
wonderful mom. I mean, Edward says in his book that she was gone a lot, although he does praise her. He does talk about
He
her
does.
being a good mom.
He
He
does.
does. But I'm sorry, I don't see it. Lisa talks about how she never felt love. And Priscilla, instead of saying, I made a mistake, takes
I
the
subjected
defensive.
my daughter to someone who hurt her. It's, oh, well, Lisa liked him. She was a kid.
Yeah,
Like, how does no one shake this woman when she's in front of them and just go, what is wrong with you? Like, what is
yeah,
wrong with you?
yeah,
And if Priscilla didn't know, she knew by 1988 when Edward's book was out, because clearly she knew what was in that. So she knew.
yeah. She knew all about it.
It's
So,
really, it's very sad. I really thought, I mean, when I set up the night her book came out, a friend of mine and I set up all night and listened to it on Audible, and we had to take breaks because it was so sad. It was so heavy. And like I just came out of bed crying, just crying for her. And I was watching the press unfold after and go, why is no one talking about this? And they were talking
I'm
about,
wondering if there was, if they weren't allowed to ask her.
Well, just even like major news outlets, like we've seen how much People Magazine has covered Priscilla's book just ad nauseum. Every
Right.
5 minutes, there's something. The only thing they talked about was her keeping Benjamin, which I knew that was going to be a thing to make her look weird.
Right.
The Michael Jackson stuff, but no one was like clutching pearls going, oh my God.
She really loved him.
She really loved him. And nobody was going, oh my God, Priscilla knew her boyfriend was hurting her child and did nothing. I mean, no one, nobody.
No.
And then it turns into this blame shift on Lisa. I can't wrap my head around it. It's the most
I can't
bizarre
either.
psychological phenomenon I've ever witnessed in my life.
And to think that here she is saying Elvis was the love of her life, and she meets Michael Edwards and is with him for what, 7 6 7 years.
Yeah.
She's with Marco Garibaldi 20 something years. How many times in Edwards' book does he say that Priscilla keeps saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. Oh, Elvis and I never did this. Oh, Elvis and I never did that.
Uh-huh.
All that stuff. So I'm
Mhm.
sorry, I'm not falling for any of it.
No.
I don't believe it.
And it was crazy to go back through this book to get ready for this because all of those things, like, I never got to do this with Elvis, or you're so much more fun than Elvis, or, and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh, where's the love of your life? And
Mhm.
I will go back to this for as long as I live. If someone is the love of your life and you really sincerely love them, you don't leave them to go find yourself. You
Yeah.
figure out who you are together.
Yeah.
I mean, you do not just up and leave and say, I've got to find myself. And she already had a man waiting for her. Come
Mhm.
on, y'all. And Edwards
Someone else's
actually,
man. Yeah,
yeah,
someone else's man was waiting for her
yes,
with a very pregnant wife.
yes. So you need to look at this in context, people. I'm telling you, there is more to it than meets the eye, and
Mhm.
you need to be aware. And I know we're going to get some backlash on this
I know we
because
will. It's fine.
they're going to say that we're just bashing Priscilla, but we're trying to point out
We're just mean girls,
inconsistency.
Rhonda. We're just mean girls.
Well, I don't think we're that. Honestly, I do not. I
Yeah, we
feel
are.
like that it is more important to you and I that people see Elvis and Lisa differently.
Differently.
That they do not see the version that is being put out that is got
Through
tons
her.
and tons of
Yeah.
faults in it, fallacies, things that make no sense when you analyze it and compare it to everything else that is out there,
Yes.
So
It's like I made that Facebook post and didn't use their names. And I'm like, I have a friend who has a daughter whose boyfriend's abusing her. Do you remember that like a couple months
I do
ago?
remember that.
I really was like, oh my God, you better call the cops right now, blah, 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 blah. And I like sit there for a day and my messages blew up. And the next day I was like, okay, this is about Priscilla Presley and Lisa Marie Presley. And they were like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you take the names out of it and you see the actual situation, you're horrified.
Yeah. So all we're saying is just try to look at it open minded, you know?
Try to take your confirmation biases off and humanize these people,
Yeah.
Elvis and Lisa were human beings who
Right.
deserve not pity or sympathy, but empathy. They deserve empathy.
Yeah.
They both went through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they did. They did. Well, honey, I have enjoyed this so very much. Thank you for
Ew.
joining me. Thank you. And we're going to end it. This has gone longer, but we had a lot to say.
We could have
So,
gone on longer too. So
yeah,
yeah.
we could have. So, we're going to cut it off, and y'all may have to watch this in 2 different parts if you get tired.
Sorry.
It's okay. But we're anxious to hear your feedback on everything.
Okay.
So, anyway, remember you only get one shot at this life, so live each day to the fullest because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. See everybody next time. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.